What's up, guys? I'm finally back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about round 2 of the NBA playoffs. It has been a phenomenal playoff so far. We've had upsets, we've had this and that, and great games all around, but we are here in the second round, and I can't wait to get started talking about it. So we're going to start talking about two series that have been unentertaining so far. I don't know if that's a word, but uninteresting, and two series that's been very, very entertaining so far. And I feel like there's one series in each conference that's been either really good or really bad. So we're going to start with the bad ones so far, and let's start with the Nets and the Bucks. And I must say that this series has been very, very disappointing. I wanted to see a dogfight. I thought this was a series that could go 7 games easily, back and forth every game. We'd get a Giannis game, we'd get a KD, a Kyrie, a James Harden, but man, this series has been very, very disappointing. Starting off with the James Harden injury, that was very unfortunate for the Nets, but hey, it hasn't even mattered so far, which is the scary thing. The Nets have come out and absolutely dominated the Bucks. And I was at game 2 of this series 2 days ago, and man, it was bad. It was bad. I must say the crowd was live because obviously it's a Brooklyn Nets game and they were going crazy. But as a guy that wanted to see the Bucks win just for the sake of this being a good series overall, oh, I was disappointed. They played like absolute garbage all around. And unfortunately, I don't see what they can do different in order to change the outcome of this series. I really think that the Nets are going to run away with this series, and they could even win it in 4 games, which I never even saw coming. But it's been bad. And the Nets, credit to Steve Nash and his coaching staff, but they're doing kind of a similar thing like the Toronto Raptors did in 2019 in the Eastern Conference Finals, where they're saying, yeah, we know Giannis is great, but we're going to make everybody else beat us. We're going to make Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday and PJ Tucker and Brook Lopez. We're going to make those guys beat us. We don't care about Giannis. We know what he's going to do. Let's see what y'all can do. And they're building a wall. They're doing exactly what the Raptors did. They're making a wall in the paint and forcing Giannis to have to take contested jump shots and 3-point shots. And when it's not him, he's acting like a role player, setting screens and standing in the corner and watching Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton miss shots consistently. It's bad. And when you have to rely on, there was possessions in that game where Brook Lopez, it was a broken play and Brook Lopez was having to ISO on Kevin Durant and Bryn Forbes is having to ISO. Oh, it's the playoffs, man. And when your best player, this has been Giannis' problem his entire career, but when your best player can almost be like unplayable in a series in the playoffs, it's bad because he can't shoot, and everybody knows that, but it's such a big problem, and it hurts his team so much, especially in a playoff atmosphere, where all the attention is on him. And when he can't, when the Nets, every time Giannis is taking a shot from the free throw line or a fadeaway or a turnaround jump shot, they're rejoicing because they don't care. They will live with that every time. And if he makes him, guess what? They're going to keep making him make it. Oh, it's been bad. And on the other side of the ball, the Brooklyn Nets, man, I said this in one of the previous videos. I talked about them. And when you got great players, they know how to play together. And they're all so smart that they're going to make it work. And Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, they're playing so well right now. They know when the attention is on them. They know all 10 eyes from the Bucks are on them. And they know that they can make that extra pass to Joe Harris in the corner. Bruce Brown setting a screen. They know when he's rolling, he's going to be at the basket. Everything's working. Their offense is literally a well-oiled machine. And the Bucks offense is falling apart in front of us. It's bad. They don't look like themselves. And I was listening to Worldwide Wild on Twitter. If you don't know who that is, he is a basketball analyst. Go give him a follow. He's really good. But he said one thing that I really resonated with me. And he said, if the Bucks are going to win this series, they need Giannis Antetokounmpo to be the best player on the floor 3 or 4 out of 7 games. And he hasn't done it so far. And this series really could be over sooner than later. My original prediction was Nets in 7. It might have changed to Nets in 5, Nets in 4 maybe, because, oh man, Mike Budenholzer's trying a 2-3 zone with Giannis at the top to try to do anything to stop this Nets offense, and he can't do it, man. So, I don't know. This is very disappointing, but the Nets are so damn good, and they're showing us why. Let's move on to the unentertaining series in the Western Conference, which has been the Suns and the Denver Nuggets. Now, I said this from the start, obviously not on camera, but The Suns are a 10 times better team than the Portland Trailblazers and a 20 times better defense than them. They have a guy in DeAndre Ayton that, first of all, in game one, outplayed Nikola Jokic, who is the MVP. Outplayed him. And the difference between DeAndre Ayton and the Yusuf Nurkic that the Portland Trailblazers were running out is miles different, man. Yusuf Nurkic was the only guy on that Portland Trailblazers team that could even come remotely close to slowing down Nikola Jokic. And when he wasn't on the floor, which credit to the Denver Nuggets, they did a good job of keeping him off the floor and getting him into foul trouble. There was nobody on that Portland Trailblazers team that could even come close to slowing down that monster that Nikola Jokic is. Robert Covington, Carmelo Anthony, Enes Kanter, it didn't matter. All of them took turns and they all looked like babies against Nikola Jokic. And Yusuf Nurkic was committing these like stupid ticky-tack fouls where it was just, dude, you gotta stay on the floor. And if he's not on the floor, the Denver Nuggets are not going to lose this series. And Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, they did what they could. It wasn't enough because defensively they didn't have it. But the Phoenix Suns, on the other hand, they do have it. They got dogs. Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton. They're all playing phenomenal defense. And to be honest, I think in this series, it really comes down to the Suns are a much better team than the Denver Nuggets. And obviously, if Jamal Murray was playing, it'd be a different case. But he's not. He's not playing. And the Phoenix Suns are a better team. They got the point god himself. Chris Paul is back. And he's doing what he does. Obviously, last series with his shoulder injury, it was a little speculation. Is he okay? Is he not okay? Is he going to play? Man, it all looks gone. I think last game he had 17 points, 15 assists, and no turnovers. I don't know what to say. That man is unbelievable, man. And Devin Booker's the superstar. I think this all depends, much like the Bucks, on how, for the Denver Nuggets at least, how well Nikola Jokic is playing. And if he's getting, outplayed by DeAndre Ayton, and the supporting cast is not playing well, like they did in game 2, then they don't have a chance. So I picked the Suns in 5 games originally, and I'm going to stick with it. I think the Denver Nuggets will pull one out. I think Jokic will have an MVP-type performance in at least one game. But the Suns are just too good, man. I don't see how they can lose this series unless, CP3 gets hurt or something like that. Prayers that he doesn't. But, yeah, they should win that series with ease. Now, moving on to the series that have been very, very good so far. Starting in the Western Conference, we got the LA Clippers and the Utah Jazz. And this series has been good. Obviously, it's only been one game, but it is going to be great. I can tell you that right now. And let's start with the Clippers against Dallas, because what they did, credit to Ty Lue for making the adjustments, but they had to make adjustments defensively and offensively. And Paul George didn't have his, best series, and all the pandemic P jokes were coming back. But Kawhi Leonard took over when it mattered the most. Game 6 and Game 7, he showed who he was. He locked up Luka Doncic, and he gave him 45 on the other end. Game 7 did the same thing. And, man, this Clippers team is really, really dangerous when their 2 stars are playing up to their full potential. And that they're going to have to do that again against this Utah Jazz team, because they are a lot better than the Dallas Mavericks. And their shooters, man, they got shooters everywhere you look. Royce O'Neal, Jordan Clarkson, Joe Ingles, Bojan Bogdanovic. They can all hit them when you need them, and they're all snipers. But the Clippers have the tools to run those guys off the three-point line. So that's one thing that they have to do. But above all else, they need their stars to play like stars. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George need to show up. And again, Game 1, Paul George played, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, he played like ass. He was really bad. And I feel bad for him, because it seems like people have forgotten that this guy broke his leg like 5 years ago and came back and battled back to this all-star, superstar type player again. But, man, a lot of people don't like Paul George for some reason. But when he's playing bad, I mean, all those jokes are going to come back out, and he needs to be better. This series is going to be really good. I picked the Clippers in 7 games, but I would not be surprised if the Jazz won this in 6 or 7. Donovan Mitchell is a star, and when he sees the matchup of Rondo or Luke Kennard on him, he's going to take advantage of that to the fullest, man. Those guys can't guard him, so I would look to see Paul George or Kawhi Leonard on him at all times in Game 2, because Donovan Mitchell, man, when the shooting is not working for the Jazz, they have a guy that they can give it to, and they can say, go get us a bucket. Donovan Mitchell did just that in Game 1, so I'd look for Kawhi Leonard to be on him more in Game 2, but we'll see, man. That series is going to be really, really good, and it's going to be a chess match between Quinn Snyder and Ty Lue to see who can make the adjustments, who can, you know, make the improvements to their team to get their team over the edge. So I'm really excited about that. And finally, in the Eastern Conference, the best series in that we have seen is the Atlanta Hawks and the Philadelphia 76ers. Game 1 was insane. The Hawks were crushing the Sixers throughout the entire first 3 quarters. And then finally, Doc Rivers made the adjustment of putting Ben Simmons on Trae Young, and it was a completely different ball game. One thing I learned in that series, or in that first game, was that Danny Green just can't guard Trae Young. It's really that simple. He's too old, he's too slow. And when they would set that high screen and roll for Trae Young, he'd either come down and take a floater if Joel Embiid was sagging back. And if Joel Embiid came up to try to guard the floater, he'd lob it to Clint Capella. And it was just unstoppable in game 1. Until they put Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle on Trae Young to make his life a lot more difficult. And that's what we saw again in game 2. Credit to Doc Rivers for not going back to that all-bench lineup again also. Oof, that was bad in game 1. And he's done it all year, where he just doesn't have a starter on the floor, and it's hurt the Sixers every time he does it. So I'm really shocked that he actually changed that. But it was for the better because, man, the Sixers were a different team when they had one of their starters on the floor at all times. And I would be remiss if I don't mention Joel Embiid. What a monster. On a torn meniscus, on a bum knee, he's averaging almost 40 points in the series. I don't know, man. He's a monster. And he's made Clint Capella, who in that Knicks series looked like a freaking monster, made him look like a little boy. And he is toying with him, man. It's crazy. So I would look for the Sixers to continue this game plan. I think they're the better team. In all, I think they're just a better basketball team than the Hawks. So I just think they gotta play Philly basketball. But look for Trae Young to try to get Ben Simmons in foul trouble early because he does not want him on him or guarding him. So yeah, I think that's the one thing that we might see is Trae Young try to be a little more aggressive in drawing fouls. But we'll see. This series is gonna be really good. The Hawks have snipers all over the place, and Philly got that big number 21, that monster Joel Embiid. Tobias Harris is doing his part. Seth Curry's chipping in. This is going to be a great series. I can't wait for these series to all continue. And I'll see you in the next one. Please leave a like and subscribe. And we'll see how these all play out. Peace.